The great hall floated in the darkness of space, a massive structure built by 100 different species over thousands of years. Inside, representatives from across the galaxy gathered for what should have been a routine meeting. Hyun stood near the human delegation area, his hands clasped behind his back. He wore the simple gray uniform that all human ambassadors wore. Nothing fancy, nothing threatening, just plain cloth that had served humanity well for 3,000 years. The air in the hall felt different today. Hyun noticed it the moment he arrived. Other species were whispering to each other. They avoided looking at the human section. Something was about to happen. The Krethak delegates entered last. They were tall creatures, covered in dark shells that clicked when they moved. Their multiple eyes gleamed in the soft light. War Empress Nari led them, her massive form towering over most other beings in the room. She walked with purpose, her sharp legs tapping against the floor like drums. The assembly leader called the meeting to order. The usual business passed quickly. Trade agreements, border disputes, research-sharing programs. Then Nari stood up. "I call for the dissolution of the Great Truce," she announced. Her voice echoed through translation devices, reaching every ear in every language. The hall went silent. "The Krethak Empire formally declares war on humanity," Nari continued. "For 3,000 years we have lived under this ancient agreement. It has made us soft, weak. The truce was meant to protect the galaxy from itself, but it has only created a false peace." She turned to face Hyun directly. "The humans are the weakest among us. They are mammals, soft-bodied, slow to reproduce. They have no natural weapons, no armor, no advantages, yet they hold equal status in this assembly. This is wrong. The strong should rule. The weak should serve. Today we correct this error." Other species began talking all at once. Some looked scared. Others looked excited. A few looked at the human delegation with what might have been pity. Hyun remained perfectly still. His face showed nothing. Admiral Taeyang appeared as a hologram next to Hyun. The old military commander stood with his arms crossed, watching Nari with calm eyes. Back on Earth, Hyun knew Director Yuna would be watching this too. Everyone would be watching. "The Krethak fleet moves toward human space as I speak," Nari said. "We will take your colonies first, then your outposts, then Earth itself. You have 48 hours to surrender. If you do, we will allow your species to live as workers under Krethak rule. If you refuse, we will show no mercy." The assembly leader tried to restore order, but no one listened. Everyone was looking at the humans now, waiting to see fear or panic or rage. Instead, they heard laughter. It started with Hyun. A small chuckle at first, soft and almost private. Then it grew louder. He laughed from deep in his belly, the kind of laugh someone makes when they hear the funniest joke of their life. Admiral Taeyang was laughing too. His hologram shook with it. The other 3 human delegates in the hall joined in. Soon all 5 humans were laughing together, the sound of it strange and unsettling in the shocked silence of the assembly. Nari's shell plates shifted with anger. "You laugh? You laugh at your own destruction?" Hyun wiped his eyes. He took a deep breath and composed himself, though a smile still played on his lips. "Forgive me, War Empress. It's just, you have no idea what you've done. I have declared war on your pathetic species," Nari hissed. "Yes," Hyun said. "Yes, you have. And that's what makes it so funny." He walked forward, standing in the center of the hall where everyone could see him. His voice carried clearly without any anger or fear. "Let me tell you something about the Great Truce," Hyun began. 3,000 years ago, when we humans first met the galaxy, we were invited to join something wonderful. A peace accord, a promise that warfare would end. That species would solve problems with words, not weapons. He paused, looking around at the assembled aliens. "Do you know why we accepted that truce?" Hyun asked. "It wasn't because we feared you. It wasn't because we needed protection. We accepted it because we needed to protect ourselves. From ourselves." Admiral Taeyang's hologram nodded. "For 10,000 years before we met you, we humans fought each other. We fought over land, over resources, over ideas, over gods that didn't exist. We fought because someone looked different or spoke a different language or believed the wrong things. We got very, very good at fighting." Hyun's smile faded. "We got so good at it that we nearly destroyed our own world. Multiple times. We created weapons that could kill millions in seconds. We poisoned our own air and water. We made war into a science, a philosophy, an art form, and we were good at it." "Empty threats," Nari said. You have no weapons. You haven't fought a war in 3,000 years. We haven't wanted to fight a war in 3,000 years, Hyun corrected. That's different. The truce gave us a chance to be better than we were, to grow beyond our violent nature. We've spent 3 millennia learning to be peaceful, to be kind, to solve problems without bloodshed. We thought we'd finally evolved past our worst instincts. He looked directly at Nari. But we didn't forget. We never forgot. Hyun turned back to address the entire assembly. You see, War Empress, you seem to think the truce was created to protect humans. You're wrong. It was created to protect everyone else from us. We chose peace. We didn't need it. Then you will die with honor, Nari said. No, Admiral Taeyang said quietly. You will die with regret. Hyun nodded to the assembly leader. I invoke Article 7 of the Great Truce. If any member species declares war and breaks the peace, they forfeit all protections. The Krathak Empire has made their choice. Humanity accepts their declaration. He began walking toward the exit. The other human delegates followed. Wait, the assembly leader called out. Ambassador Hyun, surely you wish to negotiate? To find a peaceful solution? Hyun stopped and looked back. With respect, the War Empress has made her intentions clear. Negotiation time is over. You'll understand soon enough. As the humans left the hall, Hyun heard other species beginning to whisper again. This time they weren't whispering about human weakness. They were whispering something else. Something that sounded almost like concern. Outside the hall, Hyun's assistant Bora was waiting with a communication device. Director Yuna is on the line, sir. She says the archives are ready. Hyun took the device. Good. Have Admiral Taeyang begin Phase 1, unseal the old facilities. Wake up everything that's been sleeping. Everything, sir? Bora asked, her young face showing the first hint of understanding. Everything, Hyun confirmed. The Krathak wanted to know what humans are capable of. It's time to show them what 3,000 years of patience has been hiding. He looked out at the stars where somewhere in the darkness, the Krathak fleet was moving toward human space. They were expecting frightened prey. They were expecting weakness. They were going to learn why humanity accepted the truce in the first place. Not because they needed it, because everyone else did. Director Yuna walked through the deepest level of the historical archives, a place few people ever visited. The air smelled old, like dust and preserved paper, though everything here was digital. The smell was just an aesthetic choice, something to remind visitors that they were walking through humanity's past. But today, Yuna wasn't here for a casual visit. She was here to open files that had been sealed for 3,000 years. Her assistant Kyung followed nervously behind her. The young man had only worked in the archives for 2 years. He'd never seen the restricted sections. Director, are you sure about this? These files. The security warnings are intense. I'm sure, Yuna said. She placed her hand on a scanner. The ancient security system recognized her biometrics and asked for additional confirmation. Voice pattern. Retinal scan. DNA sample. Finally, a question appeared on the screen in Old English. Why do you seek the old knowledge? Yuna spoke clearly. Because someone has chosen war, and they need to understand what that means. The locks disengaged. The room beyond was vast. Holographic displays lined the walls, each one containing terabytes of historical data. Images began appearing automatically. Battlefields, weapons, strategies. 3,000 years of sealed military history awakening all at once. Kyung gasped. I've never seen any of this in the public archives. Because it was never meant to be public, Yuna explained. When humanity joined the Galactic Assembly, we agreed to seal away our military past. We thought if we hid it, we might forget it. We might become something better. She gestured at the displays. This is Earth's war history. 10,000 years of humans killing humans. Watch. The first display showed ancient warriors with metal swords and armor, fighting in massive formations. Thousands died for a few miles of territory. The next display jumped forward in time. Men in trenches covered in mud, firing primitive chemical-powered weapons at each other. Poison gas drifted across cratered landscapes. Another jump. Cities turned to ash in seconds by atomic weapons. Mushroom clouds rising into poison skies. Further still, orbital bombardments. Nanoweapon plagues. Artificial intelligence warfare. Genetic targeting systems. Weapons that made the atomic bombs look merciful. Kyung's face had gone pale. We did this? To ourselves. For 10,000 years, Yuna confirmed. We fought wars over everything: religion, politics, resources, pride, fear. Sometimes we fought just because we'd been fighting so long we forgot why we started. She pulled up another file. This is the First World War. 20 million dead. We thought it was so terrible that we called it the war to end all wars. 20 years later, we started the Second World War. 80 million dead that time. We never learned. Kyung sat down heavily. Why are you showing me this? Because in a few hours I have to present this to the Galactic Assembly, Yuna said. They need to understand what the Krethek have awakened. And you need to understand what we're capable of, so you can help me prepare this presentation. While Yuna worked in the archives, Captain Minho stood on the surface of Mars, looking at a door that hadn't been opened in 3 millennia. His excavation team had spent the last 6 hours clearing away the red dust that had buried this facility. Is it safe? Asked Ensign Hana, his second-in-command. Probably not, Minho admitted. But orders are orders. Admiral Taeyang wants all the old military installations unsealed. This is Installation 14. There are 96 more just on Mars alone. The door was massive, built to withstand nuclear blasts and orbital strikes. It had warnings written in 12 dead languages. The newest warning in modern English simply said, "Sealed by treaty. Do not open." Minho entered his command codes. The door groaned. Ancient mechanisms maintained by automated systems for thousands of years began to move. Dust fell away in clouds. Slowly, impossibly, the door opened. Inside was darkness and then light. Automated systems activated, illuminating a chamber the size of a small city. Row after row of equipment stretched into the distance. Weapons, vehicles, ships. All of it perfectly preserved, waiting. Hana breathed out slowly. Captain, what is all this? This is what humanity decided we didn't need anymore, Minho said. When we joined the assembly, we didn't destroy our weapons. We just put them to sleep. He walked along the first row, reading labels: kinetic accelerators, plasma projectors, quantum destabilizers, EMP generators. He paused at one particularly large piece of equipment. Oh, this is a planetary shield generator. I thought these were just myths. They're real, said a voice behind them. Admiral Taeyang had arrived, his physical form this time rather than a hologram. The old man looked at the weapons with an expression that mixed sadness and determination. All of it is real. Every weapon we ever made we kept. Just in case. Just in case what, sir? Hana asked. Just in case someone forgot why we accepted peace in the first place, Taeyang said. He walked to a control panel and began accessing the inventory system. 3,000 years ago, when we sealed these facilities, humanity made a promise. We promised to be better, to use our creativity for exploration instead of destruction, to solve problems with diplomacy instead of warfare. The inventory numbers scrolled past. Thousands of weapons, millions of ammunition rounds, enough military hardware to fight 100 wars. But we also promised ourselves something else, Taeyang continued. We promised that if war ever came again, we would be ready, that we would never be victims, that our choice to be peaceful would remain exactly that. A choice, Minho understood. You've been maintaining all of this. For 3,000 years. Automated systems mostly, Taeyang said. But yes, every installation had Guardian AI, programmed to keep everything functional, to learn from new human technology and update the old weapons accordingly. These systems aren't ancient anymore. They're as advanced as anything we've built. He pulled up schematics for a ship design. This was a warship design from the 23rd century. Basic armor, simple weapons, fusion drive. But the Guardian AI has updated it. Modern materials, modern power systems, modern targeting. It's essentially a new ship wearing an old name. How many ships are in storage? Hana asked. Taeyang smiled grimly. On Mars alone? 3,000. Across all our hidden facilities in the solar system? About 40,000. None of them were ever listed in official records. As far as the galaxy knows, humanity only has a few hundred exploration vessels and merchant ships. That's a lot of hidden military power, Minho said. It's a fraction of what we're truly capable of, Taeyang corrected. These are just the weapons we had when we joined the assembly. Since then, we've continued research in theoretical physics, advanced materials, biotechnology, artificial intelligence, all of it labeled as civilian research, all of it with potential military applications. He brought up another display. Our mining lasers can cut through asteroids in seconds. What do you think they'd do to Krethek armor? Our terraforming equipment can reshape entire planetary atmospheres. What happens if we use that technology aggressively? Our medical nanomachines can heal wounds in minutes. What if we programmed them to cause wounds instead? The implications were staggering. Hana looked overwhelmed. You're saying our entire civilian infrastructure is secretly designed for war? Not designed for it, Taeyang said, but adaptable to it. That's the human way. We don't build things for just one purpose. Every tool is a potential weapon. Every ship can become a warship. Every colony has defensive capabilities hidden in plain sight. We didn't plan for war, but we planned for the possibility of war. There's a difference. Back on Earth, Yuna had finished compiling her presentation. The file was enormous, containing carefully selected moments from humanity's violent history. Not everything. That would take months to review. Just enough to make the point clear. Kyung had stopped looking sick and started looking determined. When you present this, the galaxy is going to be terrified of us. Maybe, Yuna said. Or maybe they'll understand why we chose peace, why we valued the truce so highly. We didn't need protection from the galaxy. We needed protection from ourselves. She thought about all those wars, all those weapons, all those millions of dead humans throughout history. We spent 10,000 years learning every possible way to hurt each other. We mastered violence. We perfected destruction, and then we decided to stop, not because we couldn't continue, but because we chose not to. And now? Kyung asked. Yuna looked at the displays showing weapons being unsealed across the solar system. Now someone has made us choose again. The Krethek think they're declaring war on weak prey. They don't realize they're declaring war on a species that studied warfare for 10 millennia. Before deciding to take a 3,000-year break, her communicator chimed. Ambassador Hyun was calling. Director Yuna, is the presentation ready? It's ready, she confirmed. The assembly meets in 6 hours. They're going to see what we really are. Good, Hyun said. Let them see. Let them understand. The truce is broken, but not by us. We didn't want this war, but we're going to win it, Yuna finished. Yes, Hyun agreed. We're going to win it. Because winning is what humans do when we stop pretending to be something we're not. The Krethek War fleet approached New Busan with confidence. War Commander Threx watched the human mining colony grow larger on his display screens. 47 Krethek warships against one small human outpost. This would be over quickly. Defensive capabilities? He asked his tactical officer. Minimal, Commander. Standard civilian sensors. No weapons detected. Some mining equipment. A few automated cargo ships. There's one patrol vessel in orbit, but it's outdated. At least 500 years old by our analysis. Threx clicked his mandibles together in satisfaction. Hail them. Offer surrender terms. The communication channel opened. A human appeared on screen. She wore a simple uniform with captain's markings. Her name tag read Jiwon. She looked tired, like someone who'd been working a long shift. This is Captain Jiwon of the patrol ship Gwangju, she said. Can I help you? I am War Commander Threx of the Krethak Empire, he announced. We are here to claim this colony for our empire. You have 10 minutes to evacuate all personnel to the surface. We will then begin occupation. Resistance will be met with destruction. Jiwon rubbed her eyes. Are you serious? We just got word about the war declaration. That was 6 hours ago. You're already here? We were in position before the declaration, Threx said proudly. War Empress Nari plans well. Now will you surrender? Give me a moment to check with my crew, Jiwon said. The screen went blank. Threx waited. Around him, his crew prepared weapon systems. This was almost too easy. Humanity's legendary weakness was proving true. The screen activated again. Jiwon was back and she was smiling. Okay, I checked with my crew. We've decided we're not surrendering. Then you will die, Threx said simply. Maybe, Jiwon agreed, but I don't think so. See, here's the thing. That patrol ship you're looking at, the Gwangju? It's old, you're right about that. We've been using it for routine patrols for about 800 years. We never bothered to upgrade it because, well, there was a truce. No one needed military ships. She leaned forward. But we did maintain it. And we did keep all its original systems active. And some of those systems are pretty interesting. Your threats are empty, Threx said. We have 47 warships. And we have one mining colony, Jiwon said. Do you know what mining is, Commander? It's the process of taking apart large rocks using various tools. Explosives, lasers, kinetic impactors. Really powerful stuff designed to break through solid stone and metal. Threx felt a sudden unease. You would not dare use civilian equipment as weapons. Why not? Jiwan asked. You're attacking a civilian colony. Besides, here's something you should know about humans. We're really good at improvising. It's kind of our thing. The Guangzhou systems came alive. What the Krethak had thought were cargo doors opened to reveal weapon ports. The outdated ship suddenly lit up with active targeting systems. Fire, Jiwan said calmly. The mining lasers from the colony surface hit the Krethak formation first. These were industrial tools designed to cut through solid asteroids. They sliced through Krethak hull armor like it wasn't there. 3 ships lost containment immediately. The Guangzhou launched what appeared to be ore containers. The Krethak point defense systems tried to shoot them down, but the containers were designed to survive asteroid belt impacts. They crashed into Krethak ships and detonated, sending shrapnel through the fleet formation. Impossible, Threx shouted. Those are civilian tools. Yep, Jiwan agreed over the communication channel that was still somehow active. The mining lasers were manufactured by Hyundai Industrial. They're designed to operate continuously for 10 years without maintenance, while cutting through solid iron-nickel asteroids. Your armor is mostly carbon-silicon composite. It's actually softer than what we usually cut. Another wave of mining drones, small autonomous vehicles used for detailed excavation work, swarmed toward the Krethak fleet. Each one carried high explosive charges normally used for precision blasting. They attached to Krethak hulls and detonated in sequence. Threx tried to organize a counterattack, but his fleet was in chaos. Return fire. All ships return fire. The Krethak weapons hit the Guangzhou. The old ship's shields flared but held. Yeah, about that, Jiwan said. Those shields are designed to protect against micrometeorite impacts at relativistic speeds. Your plasma weapons are actually kind of weak compared to getting hit by a grain of sand moving at a fraction of light speed. A cargo hauler that had been docked at the colony suddenly accelerated toward the Krethak formation. It wasn't armed in any traditional sense, but it was massive and moving fast. It collided with 2 Krethak cruisers and the impact shattered all 3 vessels. You're insane, Threx screamed. You're using suicide tactics. No crew on that hauler, Jiwan explained. Just an AI pilot. We use them for automated cargo runs. But they work fine for ramming too. Mass times velocity equals force. That's basic physics. We learned it about 3,000 years ago. Meanwhile, at Jeju Station, Farmer Sina stood in her agricultural dome watching the Krethak landing shuttles descend. The agricultural world had no patrol ships, no defenses. Just farms. The Krethak thought it would be an easy capture. Sina picked up her communicator. All farmers to defensive positions. Load the sprayers. The young farmer next to her, Dawan, looked nervous. Will this actually work? It should, Sina said. Remember your chemistry. What kills pests also kills invaders, if you use enough of it. The Krethak troops landed and began advancing through the crop fields. They expected frightened civilians. Instead, they found crop-dusting drones modified into weapons platforms. Agricultural sprayers designed to cover massive areas with pesticide now covered massive areas with concentrated chemical agents. The Krethak soldiers' breathing systems failed within minutes. Their compound eyes burned. Their shell armor, designed to protect against energy weapons, did nothing against chemical infiltration. Sina watched from the dome control center. Fertilizer bomb ready? Dawan nodded. Ammonium nitrate explosive. Technically legal for agricultural use. Really big boom when detonated properly. Then detonated under their landing site. Sina ordered. The explosion took out the Krethak command shuttle and created a crater where there used to be a storage facility. The remaining Krethak troops retreated in disorder. Their forces cut in half by farmers using farming equipment. At Dokdo Outpost, researcher Jiho activated protocols that hadn't been used in 3,000 years. The research station studied exotic physics and advanced materials. The galaxy thought it was pure science. They were right, technically, but pure science had applications. The Krethak fleet, expecting easy conquest, instead found itself facing experimental weapons that shouldn't have existed. Gravitational shear generators that tore ships apart, quantum disruptors that made electronics simply stop working, temporal bubbles that froze Krethak vessels in distorted time fields. How are they doing this? The Krethak fleet commander transmitted in panic. These are research stations, Jiho responded calmly. Research means testing theories. We've been testing a lot of theories. Some of them got pretty advanced. We just never built military hardware because we didn't need to. But the research was always there, waiting. Back at New Busan, Captain Jiwon watched the remaining Krethek ships begin to retreat. Out of 47 warships, only 12 were still functional. The rest were destroyed or disabled by mining equipment and one old patrol ship. "Pursue?" asked her tactical officer. "No," Jiwon said. "Let them run. Let them tell others what happened here." War Commander Threx's damaged flagship limped away from New Busan. His crew was in shock. His ships were destroyed. His invasion had failed completely. "How did this happen?" his second officer asked. "They had no military forces. No weapons. Nothing." Threx watched the human colony recede behind them. They didn't need military forces. Everything they had was already a weapon. We just didn't recognize it. He thought about the mining lasers that cut through his ships, the cargo haulers that rammed them. The industrial tools turned into improvised weapons. Humans don't separate civilian and military technology. It's all the same to them. Everything they build can be used for peace or war. They just choose which way to use it. His communicator showed incoming messages from other Krethak fleets. The attacks on Jeju Station and Dokdo Outpost had also failed. Everywhere the Krethak had struck, they'd met unexpected resistance from supposedly peaceful humans using supposedly civilian equipment. "Contact War Empress Nari," Threx ordered. Tell her we were wrong about humanity." Across human space, the pattern repeated. Every colony defended itself. Every outpost fought back. The galaxy watched in amazement as humans won battle after battle, using nothing but the tools they'd built for peaceful purposes. Admiral Tai Yang received the combat reports in his command center. Captain Minho stood beside him reviewing the data. "0 human casualties so far," Minho reported. "Minimal damage to facilities. The Krethak lost approximately 60% of their initial attack force. And we haven't even used actual military equipment yet," Taeyang noted. "Everything so far has been improvised civilian technology. Should we deploy the unsealed weapons?" Minho asked. Taeyang shook his head. "Not yet. Let the Krethak see what humans can do with mining lasers and farming equipment. When they realize we have 3,000 years of actual weapons waiting in storage." The Galactic Assembly convened an emergency session. Every species sent representatives. They'd all watched the initial battles. They'd all seen what happened to the Krethak fleets. Now they wanted answers. Ambassador Hyun stood at the center podium. Director Yuna sat nearby with her historical presentation ready. The mood in the chamber was tense and frightened. "You asked for an explanation," Hyun began. "You want to understand how humanity defeated a superior military force using civilian equipment. The answer is simple. For humans, there is no such thing as purely civilian equipment. Every tool has multiple uses. We learned that lesson a very, very long time ago." He gestured to Yuna, who activated the first display. Images of ancient Earth appeared, showing primitive humans with stone tools. "This is where we started," Hyun said. "Those rocks in their hands? Used for cracking nuts, building shelters, and killing prey. The same tool served all 3 purposes. From the very beginning, humans never separated survival tools from fighting tools. They were the same thing. The display changed, showing progression through human history. Bronze swords that were also farming implements. Horses used for transportation and warfare. Ships that carried cargo and soldiers. Aircraft that moved people and dropped bombs. Every advance in human technology served dual purposes," Hyun continued. "We got very good at finding multiple uses for everything we created. It made us efficient. It also made us dangerous." He paused, letting the images speak. "But that's not the important part. The important part is what came next." Yuna brought up new images. Massive armies facing each other across muddy fields. Cities burning. Millions dead. "This is the First World War," Hyun said. "Humanity fought this war with industrial efficiency. We used chemical weapons, machine guns, artillery that could fire hundreds of shells per hour. We killed 20 million of our own species in 4 years." Shocked murmurs rippled through the assembly. 20 million was a significant population for most species. "We learned so much from that war," Hyun continued, his voice grim. "We learned how to kill efficiently, how to use technology for maximum destruction, how to organize entire societies for warfare. And then, just 20 years later, we did it again. The display showed larger armies. Bigger weapons. More death. The Second World War, Hyun said. 80 million dead. We'd improved our methods. Better weapons. Better strategies. Better organization. We fought across our entire planet. Every continent. Every ocean. Total war involving our entire species. He looked around the chamber. And we used atomic weapons. Do you understand what that means? We split atoms to create explosions that destroyed entire cities in seconds. 2 weapons killed 250,000 people instantly. The aliens in the chamber were silent now, horrified by the numbers. But we didn't stop there, Hyun said. After the Second World War, we continued developing weapons. Bigger atomic bombs, then hydrogen bombs, then antimatter weapons. Biological weapons that could kill millions. Nanoweapons that could disassemble matter at the molecular level. AI warfare systems. Orbital bombardment platforms. We created weapons that could destroy our entire planet. Yuna displayed the old weapon systems. The aliens recoiled at the images. Why? One delegate asked. Why would you create such things? Because we were afraid of each other. Hyun answered honestly. We didn't trust our fellow humans, so we armed ourselves, and that made others arm themselves. It spiraled out of control. For 10,000 years, we perfected the art of killing. The display changed again, showing Earth from space, beautiful and peaceful. Then something changed. Hyun said softly. About 3,000 years ago, we met you, the Galactic Assembly, and you offered us the Great Truce, a chance to stop fighting, to put down our weapons and join a peaceful civilization. Why did you accept? Asked another delegate. If you were so powerful, why did you agree to peace? Hyun's expression became sad. Because we were tired. Tired of war. Tired of death. Tired of being monsters to each other. We'd spent 10,000 years learning how to kill. We wanted to spend the next 10,000 years learning how to live. He gestured at the chamber around them. The truce gave us that chance. We sealed away our weapons. We focused on exploration, art, science, philosophy. We built things instead of destroying them. We helped others instead of hurting them. For 3,000 years, we tried to be better than we were. But you kept the weapons, noted a delegate. You sealed them, but you didn't destroy them. No, Hyun admitted. We didn't. Because we learned another lesson from our history. The lesson that peace only lasts when everyone chooses it. If someone breaks that choice, you need to be able to defend yourself. So we kept the weapons just in case. Admiral Taeyang's hologram appeared beside Hyun. And we kept learning, the Admiral said. We called it civilian research, exploration technology, medical science, materials engineering. All true, all peaceful, but also all applicable to warfare if needed. Because that's how humans think. Everything has multiple uses. He brought up schematics of human ships. These are our exploration vessels. Fast engines for traveling long distances. Powerful sensors for studying unknown phenomena. Advanced communications for staying in contact across space. Strong hulls for withstanding hazards. The schematic shifted, showing the same ship with highlighted systems. Now look at them as warships. Fast engines for tactical movement. Powerful sensors for targeting. Advanced communications for coordinating attacks. Strong hulls for armor. Same ship, different purpose. The implications settled over the assembly like a weight. One delegate spoke up. Then everything humans built could be used for war? Everything, Taeyang confirmed. Our mining lasers are weapons. Our cargo ships are troop transports or battering rams. Our medical nanotechnology could be weaponized. Our terraforming equipment could devastate planets. Our communication networks could wage information warfare. We didn't plan it that way. It's just how our technology evolved. So when the Krethak attacked, another delegate said slowly, they weren't facing unprepared civilians. They were facing a species that had weaponized its entire civilization without realizing it. We realized it, Hyun corrected. We just chose not to use it that way. Until now, Yuna stood up. Let me show you what human warfare actually looks like. She displayed footage from the recent battles but analyzed it differently. The Krethak attacked New Busan expecting to fight a patrol ship and some miners. Instead, they fought against 10,000 years of military evolution. The footage showed Captain Jiwon's tactics. She used crossfire patterns developed in Earth's 20th century. Overlapping fields of fire that give no safe approach. She used false retreats to draw enemies into kill zones, a tactic older than recorded history. She coordinated mining drones with central fire control, a concept from 22nd century human naval doctrine. More footage appeared, showing the defense of Jeju Station. Farmer Sina used chemical warfare, one of humanity's oldest and most terrible weapons. She used terrain to her advantage, channeling enemies into prepared positions. Classic human infantry tactics. She won with farming equipment because she thought like a soldier, not a farmer. The assembly watched in silence as Yuna displayed battle after battle, each one showing human military thinking adapted to civilian tools. This is what the Krethak didn't understand, Yuna concluded. They thought they were fighting humans who had forgotten war. But we hadn't forgotten. We never forget. We just chose to remember differently. Hyun took over again. Now the Krethak Empire faces a choice. They can continue this war, in which case they'll face 3,000 years of sealed military hardware and 10,000 years of warfare expertise. Or they can surrender and return to the truce. What about the rest of us? Asked a nervous delegate. What happens to the galaxy if humanity fully mobilizes for war? That depends, Admiral Taeyang said. If this war stays between humanity and the Krethak, the rest of you are safe. We have no quarrel with species who honor the truce. But if others join the Krethak, if this becomes a larger conflict? He left the threat unfinished. Hyun spoke more gently. We don't want that. We chose peace 3,000 years ago. We still choose peace, with everyone except those who attack us. The Krethak broke the truce. We're simply responding. Responding? A delegate laughed bitterly. You've destroyed half their fleet in 3 days. With mining equipment, Hyun reminded them. We haven't deployed actual military forces yet. We haven't used any of the sealed weapons. We've barely tried. The chamber went silent at that. The implications were terrifying. In the back of the chamber, a Krethak observer stood up. It was one of the few Krethak allowed to remain in the assembly after the war declaration. War Empress Nari wishes me to convey a message. She asks, how do we end this? Hyun looked at the Krethak observer. The same way we ended our wars on Earth, someone surrenders. Someone admits they were wrong. Someone chooses peace, and if we surrender, then you return to the truce, Hyun said simply. You rebuild. You learn. You become better, same as we did. But you'll always be stronger than us now, the observer noted. The galaxy has seen what you're capable of. Everything has changed, yes, Hyun agreed. Everything has changed. The galaxy knows what humans really are now. We're not weak. We never were. We were just choosing not to be strong. 3 months after War Empress Nari declared war on humanity, she sat in her throne room on the Krethak homeworld, reading casualty reports. The numbers were devastating. 60% of her military fleet destroyed or disabled, 70% of her ground forces defeated, supply lines disrupted, morale collapsed, and humanity had barely tried. Her advisor approached cautiously. Empress, the humans have sent another message. They're offering terms. Terms of surrender? Nari asked, though she knew better. Terms for our surrender, Empress. Nari's shell plates shifted with resignation. She'd known this was coming. The war she'd started with such confidence had become a nightmare. Every engagement ended in defeat. Human forces appeared everywhere, using weapons and tactics the Krethak had never imagined. What do they want? The advisor displayed the message. Complete withdrawal from all human space. Formal apology to the Galactic Assembly. Return to the Great Truce under modified terms. And submission to human-led peacekeeping oversight. Peacekeeping, Nari said bitterly. They're making us accept humans as our protectors. Yes, Empress. She thought about refusing. About fighting to the end. But she'd seen the reports from the front lines. Humanity wasn't just defeating the Krethak. They were doing it with casual efficiency. Like someone swatting away insects. The humans hadn't even deployed their full military yet. Everything so far had been defensive actions and limited counterstrikes. If humanity truly went on the offensive, the Krethak Empire would cease to exist. Accept their terms, Nari ordered. Schedule a meeting at the Assembly. I will deliver the surrender personally. 2 weeks later, the Galactic Assembly gathered again. This time the mood was different. Not panicked or shocked, but somber and respectful. Everyone knew what was about to happen. War Empress Nari entered, flanked by human security forces. The sight of Krethak Imperial Guards being replaced by human peacekeepers said everything about how the war had ended. She approached the central podium where Ambassador Hyun waited. War Empress. Hyun greeted her formally. Ambassador, she replied. I come to offer the formal surrender of the Krethak Empire. We acknowledge our aggression. We accept responsibility for breaking the Great Truce. We submit to the terms you have offered. Hyun nodded. On behalf of humanity, we accept your surrender. The war is over. The assembly erupted in relief. Delegates from 100 species breathed easier, knowing the conflict wouldn't spread. But Nari wasn't finished. I also come to offer an apology and an explanation. The chamber quieted again. We thought humans were weak, Nari said. We saw 3,000 years of peace and mistook it for inability to fight. We saw civilian populations and thought them defenseless. We saw exploration ships and thought them unarmed. We were wrong about everything. She looked at Hyun. We didn't understand that humans chose peace. We thought peace was forced upon them by fear. We didn't realize that the truce was humanity's gift to itself, not a restriction imposed by others. You understand now, Hyun said quietly. Yes, Nari agreed. We understand that humans are perhaps the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Not because of your weapons, though those are impressive, but because of your mindset. You prepare for war while hoping for peace. You build tools that serve dual purposes. You never forget your violent history even as you try to transcend it. She addressed the entire assembly. Other species should learn from our mistake. Humanity is not weak. They never were. They simply chose to appear that way because it served their purposes. Behind every peaceful human is 10,000 years of warfare experience. Behind every civilian tool is a potential weapon. Behind every kind gesture is the capability for terrible violence. Admiral Taeyang's hologram appeared. The War Empress is correct but incomplete. Yes, we're capable of violence, but we're also capable of mercy. Creativity, compassion, growth, that's the real human strength. We contain multitudes. We can be monsters or angels depending on the situation. He looked at Nari. You forced us to be monsters. We didn't enjoy it. We took no pleasure in defeating you. We did it because you gave us no choice. But now that it's over, we can return to being the humans we prefer to be. Explorers, builders, friends. Director Yuna stood up. I've studied human history my entire life. I know every war we fought, every mistake we made, every innocent we killed. It's a dark history heavy with blood and tears. But it's also a history of learning, of growing, of becoming better than we were. She pulled up images of modern humanity. Humans working alongside aliens. Humans exploring distant worlds. Humans creating art and science and beauty. This is who we became, Yuna said. This is who we wanted to be. The truce gave us 3,000 years to develop this better version of ourselves. We're grateful for that. We don't want to go back to being the humans of old. We want to continue being the humans of today. Then why keep the weapons? Asked a delegate. Why maintain the military installations? Because peace only exists when everyone chooses it, Hyun answered. We learned that the hard way. If we'd destroyed all our weapons, if we'd truly become defenseless, then someone like the Krethak would have conquered us. And we'd have no one to blame but ourselves. He gestured at the sealed armories in the solar system, visible on the display. So we kept the weapons, not because we wanted to use them, but because we needed the option to use them. Freedom isn't free. Peace isn't passive. You maintain them through strength and vigilance, the assembly leader spoke up. The assembly must vote on the new terms of the truce. Humanity has proposed that they serve as peacekeepers. That any species breaking the truce faces humanity as enforcers. This is a significant change in galactic governance, Hyun nodded. We don't want this responsibility. We'd prefer to return to exploring and learning. But the galaxy needs someone capable of enforcing peace, someone with the strength to deter aggression, and the wisdom to use that strength carefully. For better or worse, that's humanity now. And if you abuse this power, challenged a delegate, if humanity becomes the aggressor, then you fight us, Hyun said simply. Bind together. Form alliances. Develop your own militaries. Do what you must to stop us. That's how the balance of power works. We don't claim to be perfect. We only claim to be willing. Admiral Taeyang added, and remember, we spent 3,000 years choosing peace when we could have chosen war. We had the capability to conquer the galaxy 3 millennia ago. We didn't. That should count for something. The vote proceeded. Species after species voted yes, some reluctantly, some eagerly, all of them recognizing the necessity. When the count finished, it was nearly unanimous. The Great Truce was reinstated with humanity as its guardians. Afterward, in a private meeting, Nari spoke with Hyun one more time. What happens to my empire now? You rebuild, Hyun said. Under supervision, yes, but you rebuild. We'll help. That's what humans do. We defeat our enemies, then we help them become friends. We learned that lesson after our world wars. Former enemies can become the strongest allies. Why? Nari asked. Why help those who attacked you? Hyun smiled. Because we remember what it was like to be on the losing side of wars. We remember the shame and the anger and the desperation. We also remember what it took to move past those feelings. We want to help you make that same journey. You're strange creatures, Nari observed. Violent and peaceful. Destructive and creative. Vengeful and merciful. We're human, Hyun said. We contain contradictions. It makes us complicated, but it also makes us adaptable. We can be whatever the situation requires. 6 months later, Captain Jiwon was back on patrol in the Gwangju, now officially designated as a peacekeeping vessel. She passed by New Busan, where the mining colony had returned to normal operations. The battle damage was repaired. Life continued. Her crew included a young Krethek officer learning human methods. He watched Earth appear on the view screen, blue and beautiful. Is it true, the Krethek asked, that humans nearly destroyed this world multiple times? Yes, G1 confirmed. We came very close. Nuclear war, environmental collapse, artificial intelligence gone wrong, nanotechnology disasters. We survived by luck and determination. And you learned from it? We're still learning, Jiwon said. Every day we learn how to be better, how to be wiser, how to use our strength without abusing it. It's not easy, but it's worth trying. Back on Earth, Director Yuna reopened some of the historical archives to public viewing. Not everything. Some horrors should remain sealed, but enough for young humans to understand where they came from. Enough to remember why peace mattered. A group of school children visited. They looked at the old weapons with wide eyes. Did people really fight with these? A child asked. Yes, Yuna said. For a very long time. Why? Because they were afraid. Because they were angry. Because they didn't know better ways to solve problems. Do we know better ways now? Yuna smiled. We're learning. We have good teachers. She gestured at the multi-species tour group, aliens and humans learning together. The galaxy teaches us, just as we teach the galaxy. Ambassador Hyun, now serving as chief coordinator of Galactic Peacekeeping, stood before the assembly for his inaugural address. The position was new, created specifically for humanity's role. I won't pretend this will be easy, Hyun said. Keeping peace is harder than making war. It requires patience, wisdom, and restraint.